Signal and Control was not the only Pennsylvania company that had a link to Carlos Cardone. Kennametal of Latrobe near Pittsburgh is a tool and die manufacturer. Its products were used in the tooling for large guns, shells, and fuses.
They were sending their product to a company in Britain that's now openly known to have been an Iraqi front organization, and that organization is called Matrix Churchill. And a young lady who was a lawyer for Kennametal questioned why she was being told to go to a company in Atlanta to get paid for work that the company, Kennametal, had sent to Matrix Churchill in England. And what she discovered was that the payment that came through this Iraqi front company in Atlanta was actually from the Rafidan Bank in Baghdad, Iraq. She started asking questions. She got fired.
In 1984, the Iraqi honeypot attracted some top officials of the Nixon administration. Former Attorney General John Mitchell and President Nixon's Marine aide, Jack Brennan, mentioned earlier by Joe Trento, wanted to sell uniforms to the Iraqi army.
The uniforms were supposed to be U.S. made in Tennessee through a company that was represented by none other than former Vice President Spiro Agnew. So it was like the old administration getting together. And Brennan and Mitchell had their company, Agnew had his company, and everyone was going to be happy. Then they brought Richard Nixon to the act. It seems that Agnew's company couldn't make the uniforms so there'd be enough profit for these guys.
So Richard Nixon wrote a personal letter to Romanian dictator Nicolae Ceausescu, preparing the way for the manufacture of the uniforms in Romania.
If you're familiar with the quality of Romanian tailoring, it doesn't quite come up to U.S. standards. And it's rather hot in Baghdad in the summertime, and when the uniforms arrived, much to the fear and loathing of the procurement officers who ordered them, they were not suitable. And these officers were afraid they were going to get shot.
When the bloody 8-year Iran-Iraq war finally ended, what did the Bush administration do about supporting Saddam Hussein?
They stepped up U.S. taxpayer dollar assistance for Iraq through loan guarantees for farm exports, many of which we now think were actually bartered for weapons for Iraq at U.S. taxpayers' expense. And in the autumn of 1989, President Bush signed a presidential directive, which is now declassified, which shows a clear and explicit stepping up of financial and military conventional weapons assistance for Iraq.
The Iraqis, just 2 weeks before the Iraqis invaded Kuwait, were meeting with the Bell helicopter people about establishing a Bell facility, an assembly facility in Iraq, with the full knowledge and permission of the Bush administration.
Many of the arms shipments and bank loans from the United States to Iraq were illegal, but the Reagan and Bush administrations closed their eyes to illegality. Chairman Henry Gonzalez of the House Banking Committee has relentlessly exposed the B&L money trail to Iraq and charges an overall cover-up by the Bush administration.
True to form, the Bush administration stuck to the bitter end with its refusal to turn over all documents related to Iraq and the B&L scandal requested by the Banking Committee and also subpoenaed by the Banking Committee. Top officials of the White House, Justice Department, CIA, State Department, and other agencies decided against turning over hundreds of B&L related documents requested or even subpoenaed by the Banking Committee.
The cover-up has taken on the name Iraqgate.
Iraqgate raises questions about how our checks and balances work, Congress and the executive branch, honesty in government, when it's right to subvert national security for foreign policy purposes, when foreign policy should be privatized, if ever. And I think we can learn a lot of important lessons about what American military and foreign policy was really about in the 1980s by looking further at Iraqgate.